Good morning, everyone, and it's a new episode of the Sidcast. And today's subject, I want to talk about stepping out of your comfort zone. So, this week has been quite a revelation for me in terms of the area of stepping out of your comfort zone. And I thought I'd elaborate a little bit more about it because I think it's very important for people to realize that, stepping out of your comfort zone is something that is going to take you leaps and bounds in terms of your business, or whether it's your career, your social life. And this is a subject that I've been trying to grasp for the last couple of years, and particularly in the last 1 or 2 years, where I've really taken strides in terms of stepping out of my comfort zone. And I wanted to basically share a message about it because I think it's very important for some of you out there in terms of how you start applying yourself when it comes to taking actions, or you taking certain steps towards achieving a certain goal or ambition. And I want to just give you some context in terms of stepping out of your comfort zone. So growing up, I've always grown in environments where it's always been about comfort, about security, ensuring that there's not major risks taken, especially when it comes to things like financial matters or business matters. And it's very important to realize that obviously the environment that you've been shaped in, or the environment that you've been raised in, can really be a major contributor in terms of how you look at stepping out of your comfort zone, or whether you will ever step out of your comfort zone. And for me, what I realized was that I obviously came from an environment that it made it harder for me to sort of get out of my comfort zone, because I always had that risk factor in the back of my mind, and I didn't want to face this sort of situation where, I was putting myself under tremendous risk. And, I think also what happens is when it comes to social environments, whether it's like your friends or the kind of people that you're surrounded by, a lot of them are also, in their own comfort zones. And not that it's to basically single out people, but I think what happens is that because you're so surrounded by them, and you don't realize to what extent their influence also plays a major part on the decisions that you're going to take. So what I basically wanted to say here is that you need to start realizing that when it comes to elevating yourself as a person, or you growing yourself as a person, you do have to take certain steps that are going to feel uncomfortable. And it's a harsh reality that every single person around the world faces. I personally faced it myself. And some decisions you take might not obviously be favorable with some of your peers that are around you, or even your family or your friends. And you need to see it from the context of, how is this going to benefit me as a person going forward? It's very easy to get stuck in the dogma that, we don't want to move ahead, or we don't want to sort of progress to the extent that people don't recognize us anymore, or our friends don't recognize us anymore, or our family doesn't recognize us anymore. And I sometimes used to get caught in that trap, and I realized that it was not actually helping me in the long term, because it's something that I felt I had to start changing certain actions in order for me to get out of my comfort zone and to progress to the person that I wanted to become. So you need to realize that you're going to have to try different things in life, where, for example, if you're looking to start a business, you might have to try something that's completely different as opposed to what you may have learned about business, whether it's traditional, whether it's a new form of business like an online business like I'm doing. You have to start taking certain steps that are going to make you feel uncomfortable. And the reason why people also, don't want to act out of comfort is because purely there's that fear factor. And I mentioned fear in a previous episode of mine, and fear is definitely there. And what I do want to say is that when it comes to acting out of fear, even if you take action steps where you're acting out of your comfort zone, you are going to find you're still going to have fear. But you need to take that action despite that fear, as I mentioned in the previous episode. So there's many benefits to stepping out of your comfort zone, and you'll only really realize once you start taking those actions. So from my perspective, I can share a couple of examples where I've, obviously started benefiting from taking actions that are out of my comfort zone. For instance, when it came to doing a video challenge for one of these online communities that I was part of, Doing a video is not a very easy thing, especially when you're talking to a camera on a phone which has no response, or you're not expecting any response, but you have to sort of feel like you're talking to an audience, like I'm talking to you now. And that was actually something that was out of my comfort zone, even though now it might look like I'm very comfortable on it. That's because it's taken practice, and I've been taking steps to ensure that I can continually, strive to get better on video. So that was one area where I stepped out of my comfort zone. Another area which I've recently been doing is doing Facebook Live interaction. So for those of you who are not aware, you can actually do a live session on Facebook where it's almost like a live video that you're doing, and people can interact with you while you're doing it. And that's also not something that's very easy to do. To sort of have content that you're speaking about, and mind you, this is not content that is preset, or it's not something that you feel, okay, this is what I'm going to address. You have an idea, but that content is something that keeps changing as you're talking on the live session. And definitely my first session that I did was a little uncomfortable, but I also kept in the back of my mind of how is this going to help me progress as an online business owner, or a person who's building a brand or authority when it comes to the digital marketing space. And the other thing is, I've started stepping out of my comfort zone in terms of making key decisions that previously, I wasn't really sure, when it comes to, like, say, starting a business or acquiring something that is a major investment decision. Those are sort of places or situations where you will find you might be out of your comfort zone. And what I do want to say is, by having taken these actions where I stepped out of my comfort zone, I've actually benefited tremendously. I mean, I've started getting engagement with people where people have seen the value in terms of the information that has been provided, for example, on a Facebook Live session. And really, I never had an intention of sort of, feeling like I need to have a specific objective or outcome out of this. It was more a case of, I want to try something new, because this is something that I feel, for me as a person, I'm going to progress in terms of my growth. And that's the reason I took that decision to take that step. And the other thing is, I've started doing interviews with people where I've been recording the interview sessions, and I've also been interviewed. And, these are all things that for some people, they might feel that, these are peripheral things. But at the end of the day, it's about what is, something that is discomfort for you, or something that you feel you can't do. But really, if you took the step or the action, you would actually feel that it'll benefit you tremendously. So my message today really is that think about how valuable it is to actually start stepping out of your comfort zone, and realize that for your long-term success, for your long-term goals to be achieved, you have to start taking action steps that will allow you to step out of your comfort zone. And that's where the real success will come from, not from where you are currently in your current situation. If you want to change your current situation in terms of maybe your finances, or in terms of your career, or even in terms of a social situation, you have to start taking steps, or drastic action steps, that are out of your comfort zone, and do it even knowing that there might be some fear. And then you will see on the other side what is a benefit. Thank you very much for listening to this session, and I'll see you in another episode of the Sidcast. Take care.